We're back here on the Hart and Hustle podcast. We have Miss Holly Taylor. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. Where are you virtually visiting
Good.
from today?
Today I'm visiting you from Brenau University in beautiful Gainesville, Georgia.
Gainesville, Georgia. See, I'm from Florida, so you say Gainesville, I'm automatically thinking Florida.
Yes, yeah, I think a lot of people do. I think there's a Gainesville, like Texas or something as well. So yeah,
I'm all confused now. Look at that. There's not just one Gainesville. That's multiple. And how
right.
long have you been at the school?
So I got to Brenau in August of 2022. I was excited about the opportunity, and this is a cool place. So I'm glad to be here.
And have you been working in the higher ed space for some time, I'm guessing?
Yes, for quite a while. I just had my 20-year anniversary working in higher education this past summer. So it's been a minute. And I've had those experience or this 20 years at four different universities. So it's been really cool to see the changes and all the different students from different parts of the whole East Coast and all around the world, really.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. When you think about the higher ed, you really get people from all around the world, from West Coast coming to East Coast. I mean, from other countries, I can imagine coming to the
Yeah.
East Coast as well. I wanted to partake in that educational pace. 20 years, like, did it feel like it was just yesterday you got started?
Yeah, in some ways, for sure. And in other ways, it feels all of those 20 years, right? It's crazy. The world has changed so much. Our students have changed so much. Everything is different than it was in 2006, right? So it's been a cool adventure, but it definitely feels like it's been a blink of an eye in some ways.
And for 20 years, like, what do you feel about and your work that you've done in higher ed? Like, how does it make you feel? What comes to mind? What are those words if you say the last 20 years felt this way?
I saw this little thing on Instagram the other day that it resonated with me a lot. And it said, what a privilege it is to be exhausted from doing something that you chose to do and you love. Basically, that's the
Yeah, yeah,
the gist of it. And I thought that's exactly how I feel. And that's specifically how I feel this week because we just got through with a week of new student orientation and student leader training, this week's welcome week, next week's NPC sorority recruitment. So like I'm exhausted, but what a privilege that is to be able to
yeah.
do this with these awesome students. It's a really cool gig. I tell people all the time here, I have the best job on campus and I stand 10 toes down about that.
I love it. I love it. And I'm guessing you still boots on the ground often. Like, what is your role today currently? Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, so currently I serve as the assistant vice president and the dean of students here at Brenau, and I'm very boots on the ground. I think probably to the point where students are like, "This girl is all." I'm at all the stuff. I go to the dance concerts and the art gallery openings and the things that my students are doing because I think that a big part of my job is actually just showing up, like being there, making sure
hmm
students know that we're not just faces or email addresses, that we are humans that care. I also live on campus, and so I am literally here all the time. It's great.
how did you get into higher ed? Like, is this something that you left high school and you said, "Hey, this is it," or how did we get here?
Um, to be totally transparent, it was all an accident, and I'm very grateful for that. When I was a brand new student at UNC Greensboro in August 2000, we had a big, residence hall meeting those first couple of days of school, and they said,
Uh,
"Hey, we're going to elect one of you to be like our residence hall representative." I didn't know all this at the time, but for the
mhm.
Residence Hall Association that would then advocate for things with Student Government Association, which then could get to the leadership of campus, right? And I said, that sounds cool. I'm going to do that. And so I rewrote the lyrics to the Sam Cooke song, What a Wonderful World, don't know much about history. And I sang it for my residence hall, and they elected me as the president that year. And that was actually my first little step into like the leadership of the university, like how universities operate. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. So anyway, that was 26 years ago.
Was that like, were you already doing that in high school, or was this also new to you?
Not really. I was a really shy kid in middle school and high school. I think I did student government. I played a couple sports. I played piano and stuff, but I was just really shy. And college felt like a good time to kind of like break out of that bubble. And so it's a cool thing to encourage my students to do now too.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Just a passion that you've had that really led you into this career that you're in today that you mentioned is doesn't even feel like work. Like I'm truly having fun doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. Um,
Yeah. I feel lucky for that.
and how many students did you guys have? You talked about just kind of enrollment coming in, all these new students. What does that look like?
Yeah, we have an awesome, pretty full campus when we talk about our residential population. We're just over 400 students who live on our campus here.
Hmm.
Overall, though, Brenau University has multiple campuses and a pretty strong online community. So we have about 2,500, 3,000 students at any
Wow.
given time. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a lot.
Yeah.
What stories do you have of those like a lot of times we do the work and we forget the why, but then these stories come back and it's like, man, this is why I do it. Do you have that story that just kind of comes back and allows you to, remember the why?
I could name a lot of stories over the years. Just students that you see change in such significant ways. You see students come into a university, I think like I was a lot, like shy and timid, not knowing. And you're also meeting all these different people from vastly different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, family makeup, all these different things, states, cultures, whatever it is. And it is a wild time. So to see somebody look internally, transform themselves, build themselves up, go to classes, join organizations, and do all these things, and then leave, with their chest a little higher. It's a beautiful thing to see. I see that at Brenau, we have these statues outside of our art gallery. And one statue is a girl going in and she's kind of, head down and timid and looking scared. And the one on the other side, she's standing up, hands on her hips, head held high. And I think that's such an awesome representation of what higher education should look like.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I do agree. I think that and I say this often with other leaders, like I didn't realize what college really does. And I didn't step foot. I guess I had some college. I didn't graduate per se. I got like two classes left for an associate. So one day I'm gonna get through Holly.
Yeah,
But when I hear these conversations, I realize that this college is really it helps people get to the next level, right? Like when you're in high school, that transition of going into the real world is hard. And college allows you to fail, allows you the community, allows you the people to learn from, right? Those cheerleaders don't leave your side. You just have new cheerleaders leaving high school.
right.
And those that don't go to college, they might fall through the cracks a little bit, and struggle a little bit, things like that. But I think people got college universities all wrong, right? I think for a lot of people, it becomes, it's just a lot of money, it's debt. But
Yeah.
every time I speak to somebody in higher ed, it's like, you got to look at it from a different perspective. So, what is your mindset on that for those that
Yeah.
are looking at it? It's just debt.
I think you make a great point, and I have a couple thoughts about that. One, I do think that higher education is worth it for a lot of folks. I also don't think it's worth it for everybody. And I think that we need to do a better job of educating our young folks on options, all of the options. Higher education, there's also an array of options there, right? If you want
Yeah.
to pay a lot of money and you have the ability to get yourself into a Harvard or a Princeton or an Ivy League of some sort, then that's incredible. And I hope that that does set you up for success in the way that you want to be set up. But for some folks, that's just not necessary. And if we're talking about debt, our students are so consumer minded these days, so much more than 20 years ago. And I think
Hmm.
that's a good thing. We have to be responsible with the loans that we're taking out or giving out or whatever. And so, yeah, I think that higher education is a really great stepping stool for a lot of folks. And it was for me. I loved my journey. It's been amazing. And we need to be honest about what people's goals are and how they can get there the most efficiently, effectively, cost effectively, right? All the things.
And you mentioned just the change over the years, right, that you've seen. How do we meet students at where they're at? I think life is so different. We always talk about curation, right? Curating for that individual, because almost
Yeah.
everything in life nowadays is so curated for us, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
our timelines, whether it's our Netflix, things like that. How are we or you guys as leaders in the higher ed space really curating to the next generation? How are we meeting them at where they're at?
Yeah, I think one of the things we have to keep doing is asking the questions because our students are changing so much with every year that passes. We talk a lot about like maybe it was some of the COVID years and where our
Yeah.
students were at developmentally and how that changed society and all of us individually. Um, I think, one of the things where I meet the students is online. I meet them on social media and TikTok and Instagram. They can DM me there to ask questions about anything. I don't care. That's the same thing as email to folks. Great. I'm happy to meet you there. But the communication piece of making sure that we're asking students to help us communicate what they need in that moment or through their journey is
Yep.
imperative. And I also think that one of the changes in higher ed is that our students are more vocal. They're more confident about saying what they need. And I love that. One of my very first days at Brenau University, I had an international student. I hope Esther sees this at some point. I'm going to call her out by name because she would appreciate that. She walked into my office. She's like, this university is not doing enough for commuter students or international students. I said, oh, tell me, like, it's my
Tell me
third day on the
more.
job.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let me start writing something down. Um, but I love that energy. Great. Cause we can't guess. And I think it's hard in higher education because we think we know the things, right? Like we know how to throw a good party. We know how to get a slip and slide and a DJ and stuff like that. But if you don't want to slip and slide and a DJ, that's not going to
Yep.
connect. That's not meeting students where they're at. So, yeah,
I
communication
love that.
imperative in this. Yeah.
Do, do you think the communication is also important now with the parents more than ever?
I do. I do. Parents are such a crucial part of the success of their students or family supporters, whoever we're talking about, that the
Yeah.
student has in their lives. A lot of our parents also are signing off on loans or helping pay those bills, and so they have a financial investment, in this
Hmm.
as well as being invested in their student.
Correct.
I love communicating with parents, and I think that many of many of them that are invested in the process with their student have a good experience and they kind of understand how universities operate, right?
Yeah. When we talk about communication, I think there's this sense of one, we talked about meeting people where they're at, but it becomes a lot, right? You just kind of mentioned this space of onboarding these new students. Do you feel that AI plays a part on some of these students not falling through the cracks because we're able to enter frequently asked questions ahead of time, really preparing parents and students for the day of? Are we doing any of that at
Yeah.
the higher ed space?
I'm sure a lot of folks are. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and I think that that's a place where it would be a learning edge for me and for Brenau to utilize that more. We're having a ton of conversations about how we need to teach students how to utilize AI in a responsible way and within the boundaries of academic integrity. But I think it feels different on the staff side to think about using AI. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm thinking about.
Are you using any version of AI, a ChatGPT, Claude, any of those basics, Geminis?
Yeah, we are using Gemini. We have, Google. And so it's interesting. I do use it once in a while. I joked with students that there's this point of the year where all of them need a letter of recommendation.
Yeah.
And I think that they're all funny and talented and beautiful and smart. And how do I say that in three different ways to the same sorority, the same internship, the same whatever they're all applying for? Yeah, it's very helpful when you use it as a tool to just kind of get your mind straight, about what you need to be doing.
I love it. As you mentioned, AI is truly a tool, right? It is how
Yeah.
does it help us do a better job at what we're doing without losing the people touch? Because I
Yeah.
don't think that AI replaces people, but it definitely allows people to do better and maybe a little bit more efficient. And I see it at the high school level just because I'm kind of involved at that level and realize that we're not teaching it at high school yet. But it's because of the fear, right? The educators may not know. They're just kind of fear what does it look like and the guardrails and all these different things. And my partner Keenan actually says, Ephraim, we're at the worst time of AI because it's only going to get better, right? And it is so true. While we think, oh my God, it's so great, it's like we're barely getting there. What does it look like in the next 5 years? What it
Right.
does with data. I don't know if you've ever like put anything in there and it would like call out something wrong that you'd even notice. You're like, oh my God, like, how did I not see that? Right. But that's just kind of the beauty in it is that you do have that, the reference check per se. Not so much that it needs to do the work for you, but you can put it in and says, hey, let me know how this is looking. Is there anything that I could do better? Are you guys
Sure.
integrating AI classes at the higher ed space?
You know what? I'm not sure about Brenau. I know we have faculty who are teaching our students how to use it
Mhm.
realistically, but I'm not sure how far in depth they're going in the classrooms here.
Okay. All right. No, this is exciting. This is exciting to know that at least you guys are in the direction of like AI's here. We understand that we got to utilize. We're going to figure it out at first, and then
Yeah.
we'll roll that out. What are some of the things that maybe people need to know about your university that they don't know that people don't find out until years later?
Oh, wow. Um, well, one, Burnell's a great place. It's the coolest place I've worked just because it's so different and it's so special. But it is a historic women's college. So a lot of
Okay.
folks think that Brenau University is still just for women. And it's not. We have a great women's college program that has been in existence since the late 1800s and will continue on. And we also have the undergraduate college for our folks who do not identify as female. And then we have our, like I said earlier, our online programs and other things like that. So
Are
to
you
be
seeing
honest,
an
my brain
uptick?
just kind of glitched.
All good. I actually wanted to know on the space of online. Are you seeing an uptick on that? Like more people wanting to do online?
It depends. Some of our programs, yes, some no. It fluctuates.
Okay, because I would just think just more people, especially in the working field, may appreciate an online class, one or two
Yep.
classes. I mean, at least I did when I was working at
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. Best believe I had an online class because I just felt it was
Yeah.
just a little easier for me to kind of get by. You know what I mean? I just sometimes didn't like. There were some classes you needed to have a teacher. There were some classes I quickly learned like, oh my god, I need to be in class for this one because this online me teaching myself ain't working. Do you feel like that's what happens
Yeah.
sometimes when people get into the online and realize maybe this should not be an online class? I need to get in person. Do you see those often?
Yeah, once in a while. And we actually have a policy that our residential students can't take fully online. Like they've got to take a couple in-person classes because if you're living on campus, we got to see you once in a
Yeah,
while, you
right.
know? But yeah, I think our online program is really helpful. We also have a pretty strong veteran presence in our student demographics, and that's exciting. We're pretty proud of that. And so we serve students literally all over the world and work with them to make sure that their education isn't deferred when they might be deployed or other things like that. I think I mentioned earlier, we also have several campuses, and one of those campuses is in North Atlanta. So that helps us reach
Okay.
students in that greater Atlanta metro area as well as online.
I love it. And do you feel that you talked about those multiple campuses? Is it because we just wanted to meet people in different communities, or just the school started to see kind of an uptick on students coming in, so we had to just kind of diversify? What was the reasoning behind spreading out so much?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. We've also had campuses in other parts of Savannah or other parts of Georgia just to try to serve the greater the state of Georgia,
Hmm.
especially in the Atlanta metro area. There's so many folks around here, and we're only about an hour north of Atlanta, less from our North Atlanta campus. So yeah, it's a good way to spread out and get more folks involved in Burnout.
Yeah, for sure. And what is your end goal? I mean, you talked about doing this now for 20 years. Is your thought one day I want to go ahead and actually run a college or university, or are you just kind of okay where you're at these days?
I I think that people who are presidents and vice presidents of universities are incredible and I think they're amazing and I would love to work for them for a long time. I don't have an interest in being the president. I being like Dean Taylor on this campus is like the best thing ever. It's so fun to get to meet students out in the things that they're doing at their concerts and shows and whatever they're up to. It's fun, you know, when they're walking to class and just saying hi and catching up informally. This is my favorite gig of my career, and I don't really want to go any.
What was your degree in, Holly?
I got my undergraduate degree in communication studies and marketing, just because I had to pick something. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So,
I mean, you're kind of in it though when you think about it, huh? It lined up with the work that you're doing today.
yeah, for sure. That program at UNC Greensboro was writing intensive and it was speaking intensive. And I said, well, if I can write and I can speak, I will figure out the rest later. And that's kind of what happened.
I mean, those are two tools that you really need in life is how to communicate and how to write, right?
Yeah,
Like I always
absolutely.
say, you have to be able to communicate with someone. You mentioned Esther was her name?
Yes.
Right? Communicating, right? Like that's a huge piece. If she would
Yeah.
never mention that, how would we know? And a lot of times people do not know if no one's ever mentioned it or if they're not utilizing their voices in a sense. So I love that you guys are kind of open door, like, hey, feel free to have these conversations. We're definitely looking to always make those changes, realizing that we have to grow, right? And it looks like you guys have done a lot. If you sit here and think about the next few years, what are some of the goals that you actually have in mind that you would love to accomplish within personal or even the school?
Yeah. With the school, I think we're working a lot on engagement and retention. Those could be listed in either order, but we
Yep.
need to figure out better and more ways to get our students involved on campus. There's a lot of research in the higher ed space saying that students that are more involved tend to stay longer. They tend to be happier. They have a, group of folks to lean on in general. So
Yeah.
just getting folks involved in whatever they want to do. One of the great things about higher ed, I think at every university I've worked at, is you can make your own organization. You don't even have to fit into whatever we want you to do. You can do whatever, and we'll support you as long as it's reasonable and legal and all of that. Um, I think personally, I really am focusing on the orientation part of my job. I'm really excited to have some professional development coming up. I think that onboarding process is crucial. And it's not something I ever did before I got to Brenau. So it's definitely a learning edge for me. And I'm excited to see what that looks like. We had a greater turnout this past orientation than we had in previous years. So I feel great about that. We had some really great survey feedback about about what they learned and partly about the satisfaction with the events. And so I'm excited to dig through that a little bit and see how I can continue to grow that program and make sure all of our students feel really good on their first day of school. I want them to end orientation thinking, all right, I think I can
Yeah.
do this, or at least know where to go for help.
Yeah, because it's all in the experience, you say, right? Like if a student's having a
Yeah.
good experience from day one, it allows them to just feel like they're part of this community that they've signed up for, per se,
Yeah.
right? And then we want them to continue to feel part of the community. So you mentioned kind of like that retention, the conversation, the allowing them to know what's going on in the school. I think it's so pivotal. Do you guys also do the same for even alumni, kind of reaching back out to them and like and inviting them to certain things?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole staff in our alumni development office, and they actually start with our undergraduate students saying, hi, we're the alumni office, and we already love you, and we want you to persist through the university and then keep hanging out with us. So, yeah, we have a whole crew of people who are doing that work.
Will you do anything different? 20 years of doing this, you go back to anything that you feel like, oh man, I wish I could have done this different?
I'm sure there are 1,000 things I could say, and I'm sure that many of them involve me saying something I may not should have said because sometimes my mouth might get me in trouble a little bit. Um, I I think maybe I would be a little kinder to myself and the students that I was working with because I spent so much time working in student conduct offices. That's a
Uh-huh.
really challenging place to be to only work with students who are in trouble, only, investigate really sometimes terrible things. And so there was a lot of that was just really challenging. And I think I would give myself and the students a little bit more grace if I could go back.
I just thought to myself that I didn't even realize, like, you don't think about college and people getting in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I've ever thought about that, but you just said that. I'm like, oh, wow, there's an office for those that get in trouble. But I guess, right? That's just me,
Yeah.
me thinking that the good in people. But it's like, I guess, yeah, there could be even that
Yeah.
happening in college because we're still talking about young adults and even adults that act like kids. So, actually makes complete sense. Good thing I never seen that office, Holly. That means I was doing good.
Exactly. I love it when students used to say to me like, "Oh, I've never met you." And I'm like, "Great. I love that for both of us, you know?"
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool. And just as we start to wrap up, like, what are some of the best parts of living on campus? 'Cause you did mention that earlier. I
Ooh.
think that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting to be in my 40s and living on campus for the first time in 20 something years. But honestly, it's great. It provides me the privilege of being able to wake up not as early in the mornings,
Yeah.
but it more than that, it's about, seeing having students see me, like, going on walks after work, lugging in groceries, taking out my trash. Like, I appreciate that there's some normalcy to that because I don't want students to ever feel like I can't talk to this person because they wear this name badge or they have this title or whatever. I think a lot of folks on this campus feel that way, but I have the privilege of living here, so I get to kind of hang out with students, not socially, but informally.
Yeah. I love it. I do love that you could always be authentically you and people see that. I think especially nowadays more than ever, our young ones are looking for that authentic leader that they
Mhm.
could gravitate to and have open conversations with. And I just think it is cool that you say, hey, I'm taking out the trash. I'm just being me. Because a lot of the times I think people feel like this happened to me recently, like, hey, man, you should definitely put on like a suit and tie, and I'm thinking like, why? You know what I mean? Like what that doesn't make me any better or less than, right? Like I want to show up as me. And I was at the high school level and I'm like, I'm probably actually more approachable than you because I am in regular clothes. Like
Mhm.
yes, there's a time for the suit and tie. I get it. But it's like
Yeah.
you want to just be you. You don't need to sit here and put on a mask or put on this outfit and it's going to make you the leader. It's like we live that, right? Every single day by the things
Yeah.
that we do and the way that we show up
Mhm.
people love that. People do business with people. So I can imagine, Holly, you're one of the faves at the school because of it, because they see you being normal. They see you just being yourself. The bubbly Holly. It looks like, are you still mixing up songs as well, or?
No, I think every once in a while I'll post something on my Instagram, but I wish I had more time to play music. I've been going to bluegrass jams on the weekends in Atlanta to try to just play some music and, do something for myself every once in a while. So it's fun.
Let's finish up there. How do you do for yourself? Like, how do you turn it off? Because Holly
Mhm.
Taylor is still an individual, right? And while this is a part of her, of who she is, I can imagine there's things that you love. What is that thing that you kind of get lost in when it's not school?
Music is a big one. Listening, singing, playing, whatever that is. Music can take me to a good place pretty much anytime I need it to. That's something I need to be better about. My friends call me out on that. My family's called me out on that. That I'm happy to send a text or an email real quick whenever I need to, or kind of be available for folks. And I really do love my students so much. I want to be there for them. So I do step away once in a while. I do play some music. I go hiking a lot. I've gotten into that a lot since I moved to Georgia. I'm enjoying the state park system down here. So I do escape
Okay.
once in a while.
And for the music, what did your choice of music?
All kinds of stuff. If I'm working in my office and I just have Spotify playing, it's usually like 90s, early 2000s hip hop or rap. If I'm playing
Okay,
music, it's like
Holly.
if I'm playing music, it's like Bob Dylan or bluegrass or folk music or something. So the
I
spectrum.
love it. I love music as well. I'll be in my own home
Yeah.
sometimes doing dishes, cleaning on a weekend. I got two
Yes.
little ones. I got my headphones on. And like you, I'm listening to the old school 90s, 2000. Music is not
Yes.
the same, Holly, okay? It is not
Thank
the
you.
same.
I do have a lot of respect for some of the new folk, Kendrick and J. Cole and some of the right, but it's not the same. But that's
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't need to be the same.
Same. I agree that the Kendricks and J. Cole's, I love that you mentioned those. Those are two great artists that still I don't feel like has reached their fullest potential. And may not just to this new generation, but they definitely fall within that
Mm,
category of some of my faves. My favorite
nice.
rapper though of all time, just to kind of let you know, is
Yeah.
Eminem. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I love Eminem. Like there's just nobody better than him.
I agree. I remember vividly the first time I heard My Name Is on the radio in 1990, whenever that came. I'm serious. I vividly remember thinking, what is that? Who is this? What? And now I'm obsessed. I love him too.
Yeah, I'm just sad that I couldn't see him in concert. Like whenever he comes and does concerts in US, I got to go. I think now
Yeah.
he's doing a lot of stuff overseas just because that's where I guess they get a lot more respect, especially our old timers. They go overseas. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I might have to go overseas and just see this guy because
Hey.
I I haven't I don't go to a lot of concerts, but Chris Brown is one of the concerts I went to, and I think that was a
Nice.
really fun concert.
Cool.
I've been to like a Pitbull Jennifer Lopez concert early on. Those are
Nice.
always cool, but
Cool.
I need to see an Eminem. I want to know what that feels
Yeah.
like, and I need to feel that
Yeah.
crowd because it's always cool to be in that crowd of just like minded people. Like when we talk about community, that's what's
Yes.
so cool about the college level. Like all the people are like minded. We're here to better ourselves. We come from
Yeah.
all different walks of life, but we're here for the greater good is to better and educate ourselves. So that's what it feels like to be kind of in that music space. So I love it. I love that you do at
Yes.
least fall into music, especially sometimes you got to lose yourself in something. And good music is a good way to lose yourself. Or if you want to lose yourself on the trail, that's cool too.
Yeah, if it's not too hot. Now, this time of year, we're not trail hiking. It's too much.
I went to Arizona this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me how I got there, but it was so hot. First of all, don't go, Holly. If you've never been, don't go, especially during the summertime. I heard it's better during kind of like, January, February time, wintertime. But it was so hot that people forget to hydrate. And on our way to the Red Mountains, we've seen someone being carried out in a body bag. So it
Oh
is one
my
of those things
gosh.
that, yeah, you got to keep safe, Holly. Okay. Definitely keep
Yeah.
safe, keep hydrated,
Ooh,
keep having fun, but take
yes.
care of yourself
For
more
that.
importantly. All right. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
people laugh at it. This is my wife's, when she gave birth, this is the cup they gave her at the
Yes.
hospital.
Awesome.
It just,
Yes.
it allows me to drink a lot of water. Okay. That's why I
Right.
utilize it. But
I love it.
Holly, it's definitely been a pleasure to just have this conversation authentically with you and seeing what you're doing at the higher ed level. If you could just leave those that are watching, your colleagues that may be kind of in the space of the unknown with what's happening at a government level, how do you keep them at
Mm.
peace? What is your words of wisdom to these individuals?
That's such a good question. The thing I tell families and students is that we're always going to try our best because we don't know what's coming. We don't know what the next election would bring or next policy change or whatever. The people that are working at the universities are there
Yeah.
because they care and they're there
Mhm.
because they want to help students. So whatever the next guidance is or the next, heaven forbid, pandemic or whatever, there are humans at these universities that care deeply about our students, and we will do whatever is best for the community to make sure that everybody gets the best shot at success.
I love it. Well, Holly, thank you so much for your time. For those that are still watching, make sure that you guys do like, subscribe, and comment because that's how we know that you enjoy these great conversations with leaders that are in spaces of pouring into others. It is not a selfish work, it is selfless work. It's not about a paycheck, it's truly about passion and purpose. Holly today showed us exactly what that actually looked like. Living on campus, it gets no more like more passion, more purpose filled than that. I'm Efrain. This is Holly. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Latest.
Thank you.